Okay. I would like to call the May 19, 2025 City Council meeting to order at 7 p.m. If you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Marissa Jacobs is excused absence. Everybody else is present today. You have a chance to look at tonight's agenda. Looking for an approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Councilor Haugen moved to approve tonight's agenda. Any second?
Second.
Second by Council President Miller. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carried. Any public comments? Anything online? Okay.
Mayor?
Yes, public comment. You can fill that out afterwards. Just,
Officers. So
uh-oh,
I didn't know the meeting had started already, but
just started.
awesome. Well, thank you. I'm Pat Kessie and I'm here for the Scappoose School Board. Counselor Haugen was at our last meeting. And I want to give you an update on our bond process. And I know I only have about 5 minutes here in public comment, but just to recap, back in November of 2023, we went out for a bond. It was for 110 million. And it was for a seventh, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade new middle school. And then there was also fields and capital improvements and maintenance to all the other schools. And that did not pass back in November 2023. And then 2024, we had a listening session. And at that time, we just decided to focus on a middle school. And it was still sixth, seventh, and eighth grade because that's the standard now for middle schools. And we had a listening session at the current middle school and toured the community. Had 70 to 100 people there and got feedback. At that time, we were looking at doing just a new middle school. It was about 75 to 85 million, or renovating a full renovation of the current middle school. That was about 70 to 75 million. And the other option was a different site, like Cascade Tissue, renovating that building. All the options were north of $70 million. The community said at that time that where the middle school is right now, there's a lot of traffic versus when it was the old high school, and traffic is a safety concern, and the train traffic and plus the Highway 30 traffic. So that was one of the comments. One of the other comments was that if we put a light renovation in the middle school, it's just going to need more money later. Another comment was the middle school has lots of memories. It was the old high school, and one of the biggest comments is if we move the middle school, what's going to happen to the current middle school? And one of the reasons why I'm here giving you an update too is that with our options, it be available, and we wanted to keep it in the community, and so it might be available for the city to do something productive with it. The other option, or the other feedback from the community, was that 70 million still seemed like a lot. So they thought it would be more feasible in the $40 million range. So this year we looked at the long-term plan for the school, and the student population growth is not increasing, believe it or not. It looks like for the next 20 years, it'll be about the same. So we looked at just doing a 7th and 8th grade, not 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and trying to hone it down as much as possible. We had an architect, a seismic engineer, an abatement contractor, 2 general contractors, Hoffman and Remick, and really looked at, okay, what can we do for bare bones, but something that's going to last a long time. And we came up with 4 options. One option was a light renovation of the 1931 middle school building. And then there's 3 other options that didn't have to do with the 1931 building. But all 4 options were around $40 million, which was great. One of those options was using the current high school and adding on to it. It was built so that you could add on to the wings, the A, B, and C wing, and make it like some of the other schools now, like Seaside, where the middle school would be on one side, the high school would be on the other side. It'd be really a lot less expensive to make it efficient. So that's one option. With that option, the current middle school will be available for the city to take over if you want to. And then the other options were taking the annex building, which is the annex is the new gym that was built about 20 years ago, and adding on to that, which would not be renovating the older buildings there. And so anyway, we're going to be going out to the community with those three options to get community feedback on what the community thinks would be the best option. And Councilor Hagen, like I said, was at our meeting, our work session when we talked about it, and he wanted me to come and give you an update. I think it's a tremendous opportunity for the city to look at that building for any use. I know when I was on city council, community center was a big thing. So anyway, do you have any questions about that?
Just kind of one remembrance, we did sign a memo of understanding, MOU back in the day about looking at possibly helping and do something with the middle school. And I'm sure, I'm speaking for myself, but we'd be interested in seeing again what opportunities we as a city may have as a community center, as office space, and like to keep that building up if we can, if it's feasible economically. But I'm sure we would like to talk to you guys about it again. See what our
Absolutely.
options are.
Absolutely, yeah. And City Manager Ben, we can revisit that again, but it's
Absolutely.
pretty exciting that might be available for you again.
And what's the timeline for consulting the community on the different options?
In the next probably 3 to 4 months. And we just decided at the last board meeting 2 weeks ago to go out to the community and look at these 3 to 4 options. So we're gonna, a new possible bond might be May of 2026. So about a year from now, that would be the first goal.
President Miller?
Pat, can you remind me, was there a study done on what it would have cost the school district to bring that building up to code?
Yes, there was a study, a full renovation was about $70 million. That was a full renovation to bring it up to school standards, not office standards. If the city were to use it, they could use it as office standards, but we have to bring it up to school standards.
Is there anything in the agreement that you signed with the company that did that work that would exclude the city from obtaining that report and using it?
Not at all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? Oh. Okay, thank you again. Moving on, we're looking at tonight's consent agenda, which is May 5th, 2025 City Council meeting minutes. We're looking at, I'm looking for someone to a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Holmes, make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. Any second? Second by Councilor Haugen. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. One more thing here. We have an oath of office for Sergeant Jacob Anderson. Come on down. Repeat after me. I, please state your full name,
I, Jacob Anderson,
hereby swear on my oath
hereby swear on my oath
to honestly and faithfully discharge
to honestly and faithfully discharge
my duties of sergeant for the city of Scappoose,
my duties as sergeant for the city of Scappoose,
and that I will support the laws,
and that I will support the laws,
the Constitution of the state of Oregon,
the Constitution of the state of Oregon,
and of the United States of America,
and of the United States of America,
and the charter and ordinances
and the charter and ordinances
of the city of Scappoose,
of the city of Scappoose,
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now we're continuation of our work session, our 2025 Community Enhancement Program. We still have about 5 applications left to go over. I think we left off with Scappoose Historical Society. If you guys are next, followed by Scappoose Quanah Youth Rec Center.
Evening. I'm Heather Arnest. I am the Vice President of the Scappoose Historical Society, and I'm here with Wanda Bauer, who's everything else. Our best
Which,
volunteers
too.
ever. Anyway, we are here talking about the light fight. Is everybody familiar with the light fight that is in conjunction with our very beloved Whoville? And so we are asking for some money for the continuation of it. So we give money out every year. They get the winners get some rewards, but unlike most situations, we're asking for less than we have in the past because we were able to reuse some of the things that we had to develop because it was a first-year program. So now we're at that point where we're able to reuse some of our materials, things like that. So there you have it. Any
One thing I
questions
just
for-
thought of, I mean, the houses don't necessarily have to be within city limits, but how far out do you let them go to be in the light fight?
Yeah, we had one in Warren.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
For the
we
most part,
kind
they're
of, for the
pretty-
most part, yeah, kind of.
They want
school district-
people to
school
drive
district.
around them.
Yeah, I think we do go by zip code.
Okay.
Not-
And this is the third year or fourth year? Third year? Fourth year?
Third year, yeah, third year. And we've doubled each year. So we're kind of hanging on. We think it's going to be a big one. We've already had calls and inquiries and stuff like that.
I think you can see the theme we want to take over holidays, December. Scappoose, great.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about Snowflake
Yeah.
things because, you know, Whoville was on a snowflake.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hanging on. Scappoose Quanah Youth Rec Center, then followed by Scappoose Public Library. This is their third or fourth year. How many years is this?
Sorry, I'm coming off of a field trip today, so. All right, hi, I'm Amanda Longtain. I teach fourth grade and I'm the co-director of the Scappoose Youth Rec Center with the Kiwanis.
Mary McNabb, and I'm currently working at the high school, but I was at Peterson for a long time.
We run the rec center in the summertime, which we house 110 applicants, or not applicants, students last year that we had come to the rec center. On a daily basis, we have between 30 and 40 that come throughout the day. We're at Peterson Monday through Thursday from 10 to 5, where the kids can come in, play in the gym, play outside. It's supervised by us. Card games, crafts. We keep it at $25 for the month.
They have to be members
They
for
have to be members,
$25, and then Kiwanis covers the insurance for our program. And you have to be a member to go on a field trip, which also falls under the insurance rider. That's the premise behind it.
And we keep the cost for the field trips at the cost that we have to pay for it. So the kids are able to go to Oaks Park for $22 instead of the almost $50 it costs a family to take one kid. And we take them to the bowling alley, we take them to a movie, and we take them swimming for the 4 Fridays. And we ask for a $5,000 donation from you guys because you are our sole funders of this program. So because of you, we've been able to do this for 31 years. So,
Great.
Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for what you.
Where
Thank
school
you.
are you guys still at over at
Peterson,
Peterson?
out of the cafeteria and gym.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Have a good night.
partnership.
Thank you. Scappoose Public Library, followed by Scappoose Senior Center.
Hi, I'm Jeff Weiss from Scappoose Public Library. We're here again to ask for money to help support Movies in the Park, which is in our year 7. I had some charming pictures to show you, but they're on my flash drive and I can't show them. Everybody has been there. Everybody knows what it's like. It's one of the free events that we put on throughout the year. It's a relatively expensive event because entertainment and movie rental we have to pay for. We also supply food for the police department to prepare, which is sold as a fundraiser for the community club at the event. And we basically keep the food at almost giveaway prices. When it's $1, this year it'll be $1 for a hamburger, $1 for a hot dog. As far as the library goes, we do events literally every day of the week because it's important to us to provide free activities for children and families. And that's one of our main goals. It's also expensive. 20% of our budget, or $100,000 a year, has to come from something other than tax income. And it makes me really tense all the time. So this year we'll be doing 5 movies, each with entertainment before. We'll be giving away things by raffle and by doing the silly bingo games we do at every event. And we're asking for $5,000.
Question.
Jeff, so
Yeah.
thank you for what you do. I know a lot of people enjoy it. Have you done like counts for attendance on average? How many people do you draw, do you estimate?
On average, last year it was over 200 people a night.
Probably get an idea by how many hot dogs you, hamburgers you get with that.
Yeah. That's one of the ways we do attendance at like Earth Day is
Yeah.
how many bags and how many burgers we give out.
No, I really appreciate it very much. With all of you, we're looking for events kind of spread out throughout the year for us to be able to help and provide and do. So we really appreciate the events that you put out.
And it does fulfill the vision statement of having community events and building community pride.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jack.
it. Thank you. Scappoose Senior Center and United Way of Columbia County.
Was here a few weeks ago? Sherry?
We were.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still Judy Guzman. I'm still the president of the Scappoose Senior Center.
And I'm still Sherry and I'm still the treasurer.
I believe in your original application that we sent over, there were several pictures. And so I'll address that in a little bit. The reason we are here tonight is to once again ask for your continued support in our endeavors with the Scappoose Senior Center. And one of those endeavors has to do with keeping all the upgrades to the buildings that we own. Tonight, I'd like to talk about needing the siding on our thrift store repaired, not even repaired, it's replaced. And then you can tell on a lot of these pictures here. Our thrift store, you may not know this, our thrift store is our top source of income for the Scappoose Senior Center. And so we cherish that, not only for the income, but what it does for the community, in that it does supply everything from clothing, shoes, furniture, appliances, kitchenwares for the whole community, but really it helps with the people who are on fixed incomes or low income. And that's one of our outreach goals that we have for the center. So the thrift store, we've had a new roof, we've had new windows, but the siding is completely dilapidated, and we need to address this in our comprehensive care for all of our facilities. It's just, well, it came in, the bid came in at $39,250, I believe it was. And there was a contingency in there that if more things showed up, we may have to come up with a few more funds, and Sherry will talk about that. But we have already, part of the contract too, was we need to come up with half of that, which we have done. We've done a couple of fundraisers to help us with covering some more of those funds. But we now know as of this last week, it'll be a little over that $39,250 as well. You've helped us with things in the past, and we are eternally grateful for that. It's been a good partnership with the city. Sherry and I are still kind of the newbies with the senior center, and me in particular are still a newbie with the community. And one reason I wanted to be involved in the senior center was to be to get to know people and to be more of a productive person within the community. And so that's kind of what a lot of us on the board and with the senior center do. We want to be productive, we want to be active, yet once in a while we need some help to do that. And so could you talk about what?
Well, while they were prepping the building for adding the siding, you know, they knew that there was some wood rot, but we didn't know to what extent. You don't normally know until you get into it. The building on the sides overall are okay, but there are two sections of the roof that are flat. And in the back in particular, that faces the bread store, that whole section of the flat roof has rotted out all the way down to the framing. So Nealon Brothers came in to give us a quote. We haven't received that yet. So we're waiting for that. And that is the additional funding that we're going to have to provide, get siding finished. Because there's nothing right now to even hold that up. We have to have that. We should have that within. They came out, I believe, on Friday to look it all over, and they said we have.
Are these kind of not projects where you could have a big work group and everyone in town that's available come and rip the siding off and help you? And I probably not put it back on there because it probably has to be done by a professional licensed people, but it's kind of one where you get a bunch of people together to help alleviate some of the costs. But no, I appreciate it. Definitely looks like it needs to be done.
I do have one question here. Was there more than one quote received on
Yes.
this?
We
Okay.
received 4 quotes and they ran from $38,000 to $70,000. And we had originally called Nealon Brothers and they were busy and they referred us to the paint boss. And he was the one that came in at about 40,000, just under 40,000, and was really gung-ho about helping us as a nonprofit, and has even directed us to where we can find free paint from Sherwin-Williams. I guess they help nonprofits, something that we weren't aware of. And he's been helping us in other areas. So he's been kind of a nice resource to go to.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least, United Way. Need to put an A in the A United and you get front on the list.
I thought for next year I might use Stellar Pronunciation Library by title because then.
Yeah.
I'll be earlier.
And maybe we could do it upside down. Up the names out of that.
Well, good evening. My name is Claire Catt. I'm the Executive Director for the United Way of Columbia County, and I'm joined by Dolly over in the corner. Today, we're going to talk about one of our direct service programs, the Imagination Library. Dolly was raised by a family where her father was illiterate. So it became a passion project pretty early in her career to really lean into early literacy and literacy programs for children. She started a beautiful program that gives a free, high-quality, age-appropriate book to children throughout the world every single month. So while she had the beautiful vision for the program, she needs local affiliate chapters like United Way to step up and implement the program at the local level. What we do is raise the funds, register the kiddos, and maintain the registration list. So kids throughout Columbia County, 13,000, almost 14,000 kids in Columbia County are receiving monthly books. Of those, 356 are Scappoose kiddos. And I wanted to show you some of the high quality books. So they come with the student's name, with the child's name, not addressed to the parents. So this is a really special way for kids to get mail for the very first time, especially in an environment where we don't always get mail or it's not good mail, but this is good mail. So they're age appropriate. So when you sign up, you might start with board books. So the little 0-year-olds, little kids can chew on them. So a variety of board books come. As kids age up, they're colorful graphic books. I also want to highlight that kids have bilingual books once a year. So this is 100 first words, both in English and Spanish. Sometimes they're just charming books that kids fall in love with about toys or trucks or bugs, lots of nature books. As kids get older in their third year, oftentimes they get some kind of emotion books because emotions can be really big, and this helps families talk about emotions that kiddos are processing. So emotion books might be in there. They also really like to feature books that are windows and mirrors. I don't know if you've heard of this concept, but this is some books are reflective of your own culture, reflective of your own family, and some are a window out into the world that you may not have exposure to. So, you know, Tad and Dad is appropriate for our family, where Dad is really active with the kids. But some families might be raised by grandmothers. So there are also books that share, you know, variety of different family makeups. Every kid on their 5th birthday receives Look Out Kindergarten, Here I Come. So this is a book that every kid can enter kindergarten with the same exposure in our area of this literacy. So our goal is just to increase kindergarten readiness, make sure that every kid enters school with 60 books of their own that they don't have to return or give back. Questions?
Heard it all. No, appreciate it very much. I know my wife said she really loves the program and kids really do. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Claire.
Great job.
Thank you for your support. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our Community Enhancement Program application 16. Appreciate that very much. We will talk with NJ about what our next role is and at the next meeting. We will talk about eligibility and how much money we have and divide it up. Give you guys all as much money as we possibly can. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to be joined by Fire Chief Jeff Richard of Scappoose Rural Fire Protection District Annual Report. You're ready. The floor is yours. Yes. Staple. Evie's back.
Thank you. Yes. Did you bind these yourself? Thank you.
Thank you.
How do you feel about your board members?
Well, the board president, let me tell you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council President, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and present to you the 2024 Scappoose Rural Fire District Annual Report. Happy to be able to deliver this. This is a lot of hard work and love by your volunteers, the career staff, the admin staff, and the board of directors. We're currently the only agency in the fire service in Columbia County that does an annual report. But we do so to make sure that our community knows exactly what we're doing, exactly where the dollars are going, and all the different programs that we're involved with. I don't expect you to read all of that in front of me right now, but hopefully when you leave the council meeting this evening and you get the opportunity to go through every single page, you'll see that our operations chief, our EMS chief, the training chief, the fire marshal, the administration staff, they put a lot of thought and effort into giving the community the information that they might need when they want to know, how their taxpayer dollars are being spent. Last year was one of the busier years that we experienced. We saw an increase of about 100 calls from the previous year. By and large, the majority of our EMS clients are in the age bracket between 60 and 100, which is, something that we're going to be seeing for the next probably 10 to 15 years. In terms of the busiest call day of the week, it's Monday, followed by Tuesday and then Friday, which is particularly unusual. And then in terms of fires, we had a wide variety of fire responses this year. And one of the pages that you may enjoy is sort of a sketch of a house. And we sort of put the percentages of where all the fires happen in a location in a house, just to sort of represent what the statistics are showing us. We spend a lot of time looking at our data. The data is what drives us to make sure we have the right amount of staffing and where we place our equipment. Case in point, we have an emergency response technician program that we have started. ERTs are paramedics that are also uniquely qualified to be able to do rope rescue, wildland firefighting, and we use that position to staff up during daytime hours. So from 8 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. And when you look at the report, you'll see that the majority of our peak call volume occurs between 8 in the morning and 8 o'clock at night. So we have staff for that, where we're typically getting hit with double and triple hits. And then we go back to normal staffing once we hit 8 o'clock at night until 8 in the morning. A couple of the areas in the report that you'll want to pay particular attention to is overlapping calls. Overlapping calls are when more than one call happens at a time. And it's kind of a big deal for the fire district because we only have so much staff. Our typical staffing is 5 people per day with an ERT, so that gives us 6. And then with the 3 chiefs and Monday through Thursday with our maintenance firefighter or maintenance lieutenant, we have the ability to provide additional staffing. But between vacations and the multiple calls, sometimes we're stretched really thin. Case in point, Saturday night, there was a real bad motor vehicle crash within our district boundaries. We had 1 ambulance in Portland. They had just dropped a patient off. That accident dropped at the far edge of our district, and we only had 1 ambulance. So we were stretched thin to bring in our volunteers and then bringing in additional responders from Columbia River to assist. So, we try to make our staffing decisions based on the data that we get. And so far, we've found it to be very helpful. Aside from that, we're very happy about the programs that we've been running with the junior fire marshal program at the elementary school. We're very active with the high school in providing training during first J term and the second J term, which we're currently in right now. One thing that's unique about our program is we've partnered with Portland Community College. And at the end of the school year, if the students complete both components, they walk away with 7 college credits, 3 college credits for fire science, and then 4 college credits for the geography class or GEO 248, which is really focused on aviation. In addition to that, we've been stepping up our game with pre-fire planning, business inspections. Prevention is the best form of community risk reduction. And as a result, one of the benefits that you may see as you drive around town is a lot of the businesses have bigger address numbers on the side of the building. And we're utilizing the fire code to make sure that depending on whether or not you're on a road that's 35 miles an hour or greater, or the building is more than 100 feet off the road, size of the building, you're able to see the numbers easily. And it's not just for fire, it's for law enforcement, it's for UPS, FedEx, the garbage guys, pretty much anybody that needs to find a building. So we're really focusing on our fire prevention program with our company inspections as well as the fire marshal. And aside from that, with our specialty programs, they keep the agency very busy. So with that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions and or come back to a council meeting at any time for any sort of collaboration or questions related to this document or other initiatives that the fire district is working on.
Thank you, Chief. I really do appreciate the collaboration and the teamwork that we do together. Just one page I was looking at, page 49, incident count by day. Only 3 days, there were 0 incidents. So I mean, 363 days, 362 days a year, there's incidents.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I'm reading that.
Nope.
Sometimes you have 6 in a day.
Yeah, I would say between 4 and 8 is our average calls per day. And again, the challenge is when we have multiple calls at the same time, which,
46%.
yep,
I think I read somewhere online, you talked about, yeah, having the two ambulances and if one is away, like you said, in Portland doing something, then you're really hurting.
one of the unique challenges with all the agencies in Columbia County that provide ambulance transport is there's no hospital in Columbia County. So from the start of a call to the time we get back in quarters is about 2 hours. Sometimes it can be closer to 3. And one of the reasons for the increase in time or turnaround time is there's a couple hospitals that are really bad about taking the patients from the ambulance and giving them a bed. And there have been situations in the metro area where we've waited 45 minutes to an hour to offload a patient. So if you think about the impact that it has on our community, we're constantly calling and trying to have meetings with some of those Portland area hospitals so that we can cut down those turnaround times to be in service back here for the community.
And like you had mentioned, calling Columbia River, they call us at times too when they're needing help or in an area where we might be able to service.
Yeah, that's correct. And I can't remember what page it's on. I'm sorry,
Multnomah or Washington County too. I mean, they all.
well, when it comes to mutual aid, I would say we give more mutual aid than we receive. At least that's what the numbers are showing us. And unfortunately, and that would be on page 45 of 56. It's a little weird how it's phrased, but according to NFPA and the U.S. Fire Administration, aid given is when we go someplace and give aid to somebody. Aid received is when we receive the aid. So we're fairly even, but for the last couple years, our neighbor to the north has been short-staffed. So we've been providing a lot more support going north than it has been coming south. But I think they're on the mend to where hopefully they'll be up at full staffing by the end of this year. That's our hope. Because it makes a huge difference when we have an incident to be able to get an extra engine or an ambulance. That's what neighbors are for.
For the in-service times, Chief, can you normally go in service from the hospital from most incidents, or do you have to return all the way to the station to be able to put an ambulance back in service?
I would like to say our staff is very attuned to what's happening back home. We cannot go in service when we're at the hospital for a couple of reasons, but mainly it's just too far of a response. I mean, you're looking at anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, depending on where the call happens. So if it's up Scappoose, Vernonia, it would delay patient care if we didn't bring somebody from Columbia River. But what we normally do is when we get to Sovies Island Bridge, if it's really busy and Columbia River's out of ambulances and we're out of ambulances, we'll go in service at Sovies Island. So that we're ready for the next call. And we generally staff the ambulance, we generally equip the ambulances so that we can handle more than one call at a time. So if they go to the hospital and they treat a patient, they can go back out and treat another patient without having to hit the station first. So generally we're going in service either at Sovies Island Bridge. Most of the times it's at the edge of our district, which is Corn Pass.
Thank you.
Jeff, the 100+ calls you had over last year, so I assume those are ambulance calls, correct?
Well, I think when we look at all of the calls, the majority of our calls are EMS. So I would say from, 2003 to 2004, we had one more EMS call than we did the year before. So some of it's fire calls, but a lot of them are, what do we call it? Some other type of assistance, whether it's a smoke detector issue or a burn complaint, smoke in the area. It's not all fires.
So now you suggested that you anticipate that increase to stay with us. So what do you attribute that to?
Well, on the EMS side, we definitely have an aging population. We have a lot of people that We have a lot of people that are experiencing new home ownership that haven't before. So with the smoke detector calls, a lot of times they're like, my smoke detector's going off. And, you know, we come up and say, hey, well, when was the last time you changed batteries? Never. That's usually one of the challenges. But we have noticed a lot more wildland fires than we have had in previous years. And a lot of them are small, but whether it's carelessness or just accidental, yeah, there's a whole host of
So
reasons.
you expect that to keep on climbing?
I would like to think that with the fire prevention activities that we're doing and the community risk reduction programs that we've got in place, we're hoping to stunt that. But I mean, the trend is, I mean, since 2020, we've gone up, what, 400 calls a year? So that's an extra call per day, basically.
Okay, so that, yeah, so I think we can anticipate that. Probably. Thank you.
Welcome.
Chief, I promise this is not a loaded question. Can you, just for education purposes, because I don't think a lot of people know this, can you just explain the ambulance service area and how that works compared to the regular fire side?
Yeah, absolutely. In the state of Oregon, every county is responsible to establish what they call ambulance service areas. The thought process from our state legislators was every square inch of the state needs to have some sort of medical response. Depending on how the counties are set up, a county may or may not, they don't necessarily have to, ORS doesn't require them to, but it's good practice to do it. But every county sets up boundaries based on where ambulances are to say, you know, in order for the greater population to be served, we expect there to not only be an ambulance, but that ambulance needs to get there in a certain amount of time. The state then breaks down the areas from like city, urban, suburban, and then rural. And each one of those has an associated time requirement for how long it takes for somebody to get there. Now, the Scappoose Fire District has two boundaries that we manage. We have our fire district boundary, which is about 50 square miles. And then we have an ambulance service area boundary, which is about 100 square miles. And our ambulance service area abuts Columbia River. We abut the one that is shared by Vernonia Metro West to the west. And then we cover part of Multnomah County. We have an agreement with Multnomah County EMS to basically cover up to Corn Pass. And then we work with AMR, who also covers the ambulance for those other areas.
Thank you. And then for this summer, are you anticipating more wildland fire activity, more natural cover fires, or what's your crystal ball say for summer 2025?
That would be a loaded question. Good question, though. Indicators are
that one.
indicators are that if we have more of a drying period, there's going to be a significant chance of large wildfires to occur in the Pacific Northwest, so Oregon, Washington. We're hopeful that with all of the education that the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office has been working really hard on, the community wildfire protection plans, the CWPPs that have been put in place and are continually being worked on are going to have a huge benefit to that. There's been a lot of efforts with the State Building Code Division and the State Fire Marshal's Office to better the building process, to provide homes with a little bit more hardening so that if there is a fire, we're not going to lose homes. But it really comes down to weather. Last year, between August 17th and 18th, we had 7,000 lightning strikes between Oregon and Washington. And that was sort of the precursor to a lot of the fires that we had last summer. And if we don't get lightning, we'll probably, stunt the amount of fires that happen regionally, but it's anyone's best guess.
Thank you.
Chief, it looks like this past year, there was a pretty significant jump in the collected tax revenue. Is that just overall assessed values across the board going up, or is there something else?
There was definitely something else. That was an aberration. The fire district, just like the city, had an increase in tax revenue from the Cascade Tissue project that defaulted in their enterprise zone requirements. And so all of the entities within the county that were within the footprint of that business saw basically back taxes. But we look at the budgeted tax revenue, we're actually below what we're projecting.
A whole nother story there on, like with the urban renewal, you know, your taxes are frozen at that level. And then the 3% each year that goes up goes in. And so I don't think the city's not going to get that either, tax exemption from Cascade Tissues again. But two questions I had, I'll do this one first because it kind of, you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, do you have a levy? I know you're not here to advocate or speak about it, but informationally, what can you tell us about this levy? A dollar amount per thousand, and what typically does it go for?
Yeah, so I have to be very careful in how I answer questions, and I'll just start out for the record. Since this is public record, I cannot advocate either for or against anything that is currently on the ballot. So it is helpful when you ask a question that's specific, that sort of relates to the levy. So the levy is $1.99 per thousand of assessed value. And that levy covers a little over 50%, probably like 53% of our tax revenue that comes in to support operations. That needed revenue allows us to maintain all of the ambulance staff that we have, and a good portion of it goes into the operations of our day-to-day programs. There's a lot of components to the fire district or any fire agency that we have to stay up on, between National Fire Protection Association requirements, OSHA requirements, DPSST requirements, that is the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training. But more, how should I say, in the more recent years, OSHA has been unfortunately having a significant impact on operations. They were in the process of changing one of the federal rules that are going to require a lot of the agencies. That's going to cost a lot of money. For example, health screening every year, which is not cheap. Thankfully, that rule hasn't gone into effect. It's kind of being litigated right now. But to answer your question about the $1.99 per thousand, I mean, we use it to keep the lights on. We use it for staff. We use it for the expendable medical supplies and everything else that I've just mentioned.
Does that extend a levy that's expiring? Is it a little bit more than before? Is it a new levy or new amount you're asking?
Yeah, so according to the voters pamphlet, it's pretty clear that this is a continuation of an existing levy.
And hopefully people have voted by now, because the deadline is tomorrow.
Yeah. I know in Oregon, most of them do probably put in quite early. Just me personally, I'm very for this. I have one more question. We get a lot of questions about yard burning and fires within city limits, and help us understand who is responsible as a fire department that's, you know, sets the, I know we pass the ordinances and the laws, but who is responsible and kind of oversees fire burning, whether a permit is violated, or if you guys want something added on, like some kind of an ordinance or more of a law, is that more of this fire department handles fire burning, correct?
Great question. So yes, we are the smoke police, I guess, is a fun way of explaining that. We don't necessarily like having that dubious responsibility, but according to ORS, through the Oregon Fire Code, we are responsible for any type of burning activities. So we are the authority that has jurisdiction over burning activities within the jurisdiction that we are responsible for. Depending on where that burning occurs, if it's outside the city limits, it gets pretty complicated. There's DEQ rules that we have to follow, or that other people have to follow. So if they're burning within 3 air miles of a city, if it's land clearing, not allowed to do it. The only exception to that is if it's agriculturally based, they get an exemption or a waiver. We do follow a lot of what the Willamette Valley ODF forecaster puts out on a daily basis. And when folks go to our website, we have links that go directly to the smoke and the burn program for the Willamette Valley. And we rely on those forecasts as to when we turn on burning and when we turn off burning. Basically, if there's an inversion where there's cold air aloft and it traps all the warm air down below, that means that the smoke can't go vertical. And if the smoke can't go vertical, we shut burning down. Obviously, if people are not following the burning regulations, which have been adopted countywide, so that there's uniformity in how we approach this with our customers, then we have the ability to give them a citation. Now, outside of the city limits, we really have no effect or force to add to that citation. However, in the city limits, through a great partnership with the city, there is what is it? Ordinance that allows the fire district to cite people into municipal court, which is unusual. None of the other fire districts in the county have that capability. So when people do violate the burning regulations, depending on what it is, depending on what the circumstances are, if we see it and we're there, we can cite them into court. But the challenge with burning in the state of Oregon is people believe that burning is their God-given right, and to try and shut down burning is something that has to be more of a community discussion. And so the fire district takes a very deliberate stance with how we approach burning. There's a group within the city limits that does ceremonial burning. So we have to be very mindful of those customs and what is afforded to them as a result of that. But yeah, hopefully I answered your question.
Definitely. The one you had brought, you guys throughout the day, the year when you can burn, if they're, like you said, an inversion, you can say no burning today. Is there like, hey, we're gonna have wind gusts of 30 miles an hour and you guys decide no burning as well? I mean, is there heavy wind days that you could?
Yeah, when we get closer to the summer season, when we have what they call red flag warning days, we'll shut burning down. I think there's kind of a misnomer when it gets really hot, people think, oh, well, it's gonna be 102 degrees, we gotta shut off burning. It doesn't really do anything. As long as there's no wind, a fire's not gonna go anywhere. Unless somebody's unattended and you're on a slope and the fire dynamics are fire likes slope and terrain, and when those align, then your fire runs up a hill. But if there's no wind, it's really not going to go anywhere. So we do worry about wind a lot. As a result of that, when the drying period comes into full effect, which will be in about a month, we usually shut burning down either the 1st of July or very soon after the 4th of July.
Jeff, do you ever differ from DEQ advisories? Do you follow DEQ then for your burn?
Absolutely, with the exception of if we're not paying attention and we forget to change the burn line,
okay,
which has happened on occasion.
So then the second part of that question is, so what happens, if someone calls in at 8 in the morning and gets to go for a burn, then in the afternoon, the conditions change?
Usually we'll go out there and either help them put the pile out or the fire out, or tell them to put the fire out. Okay. Normally the biggest challenge for us is when people are burning illegal items, mattresses, desks, tires, trash. And a lot of times it's right on the edge of the city limits. And so when that happens, there's not much we can do other than call DEQ and let them know if DEQ does come out, it'll instantly be a $10,000 fine.
I do have one question. So I think firework activity was relatively low last year. Was that correct? Did you all have to respond to any calls for fireworks?
That's kind of a challenge because a lot of times when we do or when we have gone out to chase after people who are lighting off those illegal fireworks, they end up running into their house, bringing the stuff into their house, and the fire code does not allow us any authority to walk into someone's house unless we have a warrant. And to try and get a warrant on the 4th of July is not going to happen. So unless we catch them in the act, there's limited things we can do unless they actually cause a fire. I remember early in my career, somebody was shooting illegals, mortar fell over, it launched through the neighbor's window into their house and caught the house on fire. That was an easy one to take them to court on. But we do our best. We do work with our law enforcement partners. We've got a really good police department here, and we strategize. But yes, we do what we can.
I think we either did the ordinance right before we came or right after we came that gave you the ability to cite as well. Yeah. So good teamwork again. I appreciate it. Anything else? Questions? We'll go through this, and if we have any more questions, we'll know where to find you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, but by the way, what's Dana up to? I haven't seen her for a long time.
She has been doing the mom thing and enjoying gardening. Lots of gardening.
She's got her work cut out at home.
Oh, yes.
And thank you very much. Well, that concludes our business for the night. We are tomorrow night. We have 50-year plan stakeholder advisory committee. I guess it's not on the committee. 6 p.m. Again, farmers market every Saturday, 9 to 2. City's offices will be closed next Monday in observance of Memorial Day. Remember, Summer Outdoor Fun Festival, May 31st, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. June 2nd, council work session at 6 p.m. followed by city council at 7 p.m. Urban renewal meeting, June 16th at 6:30 p.m. followed by city council at 7 p.m. City offices will be closed on June 19th or 18th. EDC meeting, June 26th, noon, followed by a planning commission meeting scheduled tentatively now at 7 p.m. on June 26th. Any dates that I'm missing there? Think of? Nope. City Manager Ben Bergner.
You Mayor. A couple quick updates. Last Wednesday, had the opportunity to meet with the county commissioners. As I'd mentioned a couple months ago, I had been asked to serve on the Crown Zellerback Trail Advisory Committee. They invited me to their meeting to ask some questions about that, and formally did offer that to be on part of that committee to help out with planning. Obviously, a major part of the things in the city limits, but it does incorporate the whole trail as well. So excited for that opportunity to be able to help, something that both helps the city economically, recreationally, but also, partners with the community as well on that. Conversations continue with the around Luma Vista. We had a great conversation this morning, hopefully to get something that we can present to the council to move forward. They're taking that back to the rest of their group to kind of discuss some of those items. But it was a really good meeting. We're excited about really where it's turned for that. So I do think it really, for that discussion, is working with both parties, all parties, to really move towards something that is beneficial and within the scope of where we are right now. Following up with the conversation you guys mentioned about with Chief Preacher about burn ordinance, so the council did receive a request. I did receive some feedback from people interested. I did want to follow up from the council as a whole about putting that on the agenda, or if you'd rather have a presentation. There was an individual that asked about discussing about additional restrictions and what the city's position is on that. If we wanted to have that as an official presentation from her, or just to have her, I guess, additional feedback from the council of how you'd like to proceed with that particular item. Especially after we just had a conversation about it, which is great. But I know the request was to go a little bit more in depth and seeing if the city could do additional restrictions beyond maybe what the fire district has, or to work with fire district, see if there is additional stuff in there. I'm not quite sure on the complete direction. So right now it's just a presentation of what they've seen in other places and they have a request for. So feedback on the council on that one.
Want that right now?
Just feedback. Yeah. I mean, do we want to put it on there or?
I think it's okay to listen to see what other cities kind of are. If there's, best practices and education, I like what she talks about is educating a lot of people to help prevent. If there's just some we could put out that if we can't make changes, you can educate best practices. I mean, it'd be interesting to kind of hear what other people do, see if it's any different than what we do.
You're kind of poking the beehive there, though. Like the chief alluded to this, is that the God-given right, to burn. So then, distinguish between your fires coming out of your fire pits and so forth. It's a really dicey situation. And I don't know if you can avoid, poking the bees too much. It's probably pretty good.
Well, the fire department coincidentally has those suits that allow them to poke the beehive more. So that's a
Let
good
them
topic
poke
for
the
the fire board to take up over there.
Well, and I think just understanding kind of like what is the root cause behind the behavior of burning? Is it like accumulation of yard debris? Could having a couple of additional yard debris collection days help cut down, right? Like, are there solutions that we could provide that could deter the behavior rather than, heavy-handed approaches?
Well, education's good. Yeah.
I feel like we get maybe 2 emails from the public a year regarding burning complaints, mostly to do with air pollution.
But I think there are a lot. I mean, people are
Mhm.
not happy when it happens. They
Yeah.
just don't take it to the
Right.
email.
I think that's an excellent point about
Yeah.
maybe something to do with yard waste disposal or something like that we can help facilitate.
Right. And a lot of those complaints though, and I wasn't here obviously for those, talking to Richard about this prior, and from my experience before, a lot of them come from people who aren't maybe following their permit or don't have their permit. And so it's a compliance issue compared to an actual problem with the rules, which does fun that, and then does irritate a lot of people, obviously, because that affects people and they have to go and respond to that. But so I mean, just at this point, interested in her at least presenting that her thoughts on the discussion and what ordinance she has on that. Just have them come for that,
Or provide an email of options and thoughts. Like Joel said, poking the bear, where I would really rely on the fire department to use their feedback and thoughts on it. Well as maybe other cities, just to make sure we're in line on our policy, or just send us our policy. But I like what Kim had said about offering other opportunities without changing or our dates. Is what can we do as a courtesy? Maybe we can sponsor a yard debris day, or it's an advisory of when it's windy. Different things that we can kind of support, but not make any formal change.
Okay, so the resident, you'd like to at least hear their side, and then we can have a discussion further about
Who is this
what the
person
council.
that's coming to speak?
I don't. Or
The person that,
the one that emailed the council.
yeah, I mean, if they'd like to come, especially to public comment and give us a little more specifics.
It's more of a public comment type thing.
Yeah.
Again, what's your title?
Resident.
President?
Yeah, they didn't list anything. It was just a person that put in a, hey, Columbia County has certain things. I'd like to see it over here was the request. Or not Columbia County, Columbia City.
Yeah, maybe as a public comment, and then we can all do kind of our research on our end. We don't need a lot of staff time involved, but finding, again, like I said, we get only a few comments a year, but I'm sure there's other people out there that say it to their neighbors. Then again, if it is code violations, if we're finding out these are violations or permit violations, then that is something that department. But if it's just has asthma and that they do it on a windy day and it blows through that's something different.
Okay, perfect. We'll go with public comment. I'll let her know. I promised I'd follow up with her and let her kind of know from the council on that, kind of the direction to at least
And if you
present it.
can't come in at like an email that we can read into public comment.
Yeah, I could let her know. That'd be good.
Is that the one that we got the email about?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you for clarifying, because I felt like I walked into the middle of a conversation. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, the last thing, as the mayor mentioned, Outdoor Fest is coming up. Just a follow-up of expectations from the council for me. It is a much longer festival than the Earth Day was. My plan was to come on the later part of the day, 4 or 5 hours, and be part of that, but is the council expecting me to be there for the full 11 hours? Or I know that there's obviously that expectation of wanting to be part of the community. I'm always trying to be there, but my family does have also a field trip that's planned in the morning of that. So I'd like to be able to participate with that as well. But at the same time, I want to have that discussion with the council. If there is expectations that you were thinking I would be part of that.
I feel bad if you felt that I expected you there the whole time. I didn't, and maybe we didn't make it, especially on Earth Day. No, I prefer, if you, as much as you can, but you got other opportunities. I'm supposed to umpire a bunch of games, so I'm going to be here as much as possible, but I got to be there too. And but yeah, I would think maybe just fill in a shift or two, like everybody else is.
It would be helpful to know though, because part of my comment's gonna be, I guess I'm gonna be the one trying to put out the schedule again to get that filled. So if you could let us know, what your plan is, that would be helpful.
Right, and then preliminary, my plan is on the latter part of it, sometime between 5 or be there the last 3-4 hours or whatever. The field trip is a part of their co-op group. And they have stuff in the middle of the day that's, a couple hours away. So be able to get back and then come to that is the goal, so we can get back into town.
Email a schedule invite, I like the things shortly.
Can you mention the date, and it's a Saturday, right?
It's the 31st, which is a Saturday. Yeah. So coming up.
And I would like to think that if we could have 2 people there, whether they're staff or volunteers or anyone, just sit in at the booth at 2 at a time for a couple hours at a time.
Well,
we had to go to one because schedule, but if you could get 3 too, a long day.
So I know it's your time right now. I was gonna bring this up during my comment. It is gonna be, you want me to just wait?
That's fine.
Okay, we'll circle back.
Yeah, that was it.
Chief Llewellyn.
All right, good afternoon, Mayor, Council President, Councilors. So for us, once again, congratulations to Sergeant Anderson. Both Sergeant Anderson and also Sergeant McKinney just finished a 2-week Metro Academy course in Portland, which was really, really good. And I'm super happy to have him there. He's the final piece of our leadership team for the department, which will help us just continue to find our processes, has additional supervision out there too as well. And just continue to work on those different things as a team to just better serve our community. So really happy to have another additional supervisor on board, and I can delegate a little more now, which for my own selfish benefit there to a degree, and just help them out a little bit too as well. So it's gonna be good going forward with them. Last week I attended the Homeland Security Emergency Management Commission. Attended that, became a voting member too, which is great for the commission. So really happy to be part of that too. And just to follow up, reached out to Corey, who's the coordinator there, just get more information about how we can prepare for our own continuity operation plans, emergency management plan too as well. So I continue to work on that to help accomplish the goals of the council. And last but not least, big thing for me is outdoor festival. We'll be participating there for the Scappoose Police Department. Well, again, no burgers, hot dog this time, but we'll be there. So that's all I have for right now, pending any questions or comments.
So what is your role, just being there this year?
So no, yes, so I
know you weren't doing burgers and hot, so you can sit in our booth from time to time as well, not all of your offices.
We're gonna have still have a static display there. We're gonna have our patrol vehicles. I did it last year. It was a lot of fun. So just engage with the community to ask questions about the department, what's going on, things like that too. So that's what we'll be doing. Well, not a problem there, so.
Okay, Counselor Haugen.
A short school district report. First, I'm delighted that Cassie was here this evening. Like, I think that's an exciting development here for the school district to have a practical and reasonable proposal before the voters. So a $40 million bond, I think, is saleable. So I'm encouraged about that. I think we can collaborate on that. Particularly if we can work with the middle school. 10 years ago, when I first joined council, we were looking seriously at that. It's an exciting concept, especially when you get kind of a private public partnership going, because that's just it's a win-win all the way around. So I'm hopeful that will come together here, and whatever we can do to help, I think, is desirable. The other thing I suggest from the meeting was that we inaugurate in 2025 recognition of the standout high school graduates. So this particular year, the valedictorian set an all-time GPA record and graduated with 28 college credits and going off to college on a good scholarship. And then her brother was a salutatorian. And also the state wrestling championship champion. And there was another one by name, a fellow by the name of Taj Forney was the other salutatorian. So I would like the city to invite them to the next meeting to recognize them in some fashion. I think it would be nice to inaugurate some kind of award between the mayor and Ben. If I can come up with some kind of gimmick that would be get good PR. I mean, it's a great PR opportunity as well. And so to inaugurate that, where we recognize the standout graduates from our community, I think would be pretty cool.
I agree. I think that'd be good, especially if we're going to start working more with student council, all that, that relationship would be great. I went through here before they had GPA credit. But that's besides the point. No, I appreciate that, Joel. I think that'd be a good idea. Work on that. Okay, Councilor LaFrence. Councilor Holmes.
Yeah, a few things, Mayor. First, I do want to take a minute to acknowledge that this weekend, the high school community did tragically lose one of their own. I want to recognize that there's a lot of families that are hurting in many different ways. And so be kind to each other out there because it'll take time to heal. A couple of items that I want to bring up from the budget discussion, Ben, I think there was a couple of items that came to mind afterwards that I wanted to, I guess I'll just throw them out and see how we might be able to consider those. In the past, we'd earmarked money for events, and they've previously gone to support events like Earth Day and the Summer Festival. And I'm not sure that we've got similar money earmarked for 25, 26 for the next cycle. Did we have that in there?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Similar allocations to those events or organizations.
Okay, perfect. And the senior center, we also had some money
Similar, yeah.
allocated for. Is that also in there? Okay, perfect. Thank you for anticipating those. And then I guess just the last thing is kind of looking at all of the department heads before we finalize the budget, just making sure that, because we looked at your wage compensation and made sure that it was kind of on par. And I think the community director, that's like a new position, so that's probably been evaluated recently. The chief is newly in there. I'm just not sure about Department of Public Works or other department heads. So I would just ask that you maybe look at that.
Right, and we are going through a current salary study about those. Even with the chief and other positions, they may not, and I actually just talked to chief about this today, they may not, the newer sergeants or whatever may have already been hired at the rate that we felt was competitive for them, but their ranges are being evaluated, so there's room to grow because we hired some of those at the top of the range on purpose, even though they didn't have that experience behind them, because that's really what the market was at. We couldn't get anybody else. However, we want to at least reassess their range to make it competitive. And so their range, their salary would probably stay the same because they're brand new and don't have any prior experience in being a sergeant or any leadership type thing. So we'd look at all that to put them in the right place according to their range. But yeah, Public Works, CDC, all of them, they're all any non-union position we're currently looking at and trying to get those comps for.
Kim, are you asking staff or we're talking about head?
Well,
Department.
specifically, I think department heads as well.
Yeah, the regular staff are in the CBAs that we have. So those are already done. The next review for that is the Public Works one in 2026. I have to look at the exact date, but it's coming up, so we're preparing for that as well. But yeah, right now we want to wrap up and tie that, and that's why we put a little bit of a buffer in there to make sure that we could have that room for whatever that salary study showed. And I came up with that buffer based off of I had a pre-salary study done, not that I did, but that another organization had done, so we could get some ideas of where they were at, to see if we're at least how competitive we are, or what we might be looking at, and that included a lot of the cities that we've looked at that are comparable locally, regionally, et cetera. So we had the preliminary to at least get that estimate in there, but I do think it was definitely a high estimate just to give us room.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I think particularly because with League of Oregon City events, and when we talk to other communities, having really good public works people are increasingly hard to come by. So just making sure that we are, competitive for that as well.
Also Lori did get recently also during the time that I've been here. So, yeah.
Yep. And then just a couple of other things to consider, because I think our calendars are going to get full as we talk about different topics we want to come before. Ben, what I also mentioned after the budget was, that we start to schedule time for some talks about other funding mechanisms to fill that gap. So if you would just, I guess, look at the calendar for when that maybe makes sense, if we can start that discussion.
Right. We had it actually on the calendar. Sorry. But we had that on the calendar for June. I started involving NJ to give him some experience on that as well. It was a good learning opportunity for him from working with that, and we pushed it back a little bit so that he could have enough time to go through that and actually experience that as opposed to just me putting it all together. So yes, it is on the calendar. We are looking at that. It should be sometime within the summer that we want to start really going through that, whether it's July or August, trying to scope out the exact best council meeting depending on the rest of the workload. But it has been on that calendar for a good amount of time.
Great. No, that'd be great to start that in June. And then just for council's consideration, Ben, you're coming up on a 1-year anniversary. Thank you so much. It's been great having you here. When we had your compensation discussion a few months ago, there was the talk, and I don't know if we ever resolved it, about like, do we want to do a 360? Do we not want to do a 360? I think the agreement was to not do it tied to a compensation. If we want to do something like that, coming up on a year would probably make sense. So, is there a conversation that we want to have? And if so, get that on the calendar as well, just so that doesn't get missed. So
Can we have like a work session to discuss that, or do we need a meeting, or how is that going to be done?
The last conversation we had on that was more in line that we'd be doing that as I work with the ICCMA, and that could be shared with the council, as they have that every so often. They already have a mechanism to go through that for the 360.
I'm sorry, what would you say that?
The ICMA, the International County City Managers Association.
Okay.
So for accredited managers, they require that already as part of that, and they have you reach out to do that with different organizations that they recommend, just for your own personal growth. And that is where the conversation was, that we do that. But yeah, that was where we left last time for that specific item.
So I guess I'm not clear. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not clear. Are we saying that we're going to bring in an organization to do that, or do we need to? I wasn't.
Well, we can look at the time. I just have to, with the ICMA, I don't have that on my current schedule for that. I'm going for the actual official accreditation. I'm gonna have to check. It's either this year or next year. But as part of being accredited, they have a process, and that you have to approve that process of what it looks like. So whether that's an internal, whether it's an organization, I'd have to look at the specifics for that, just to maintain your accreditation for the
annual. You were hired, let's say September 1.
Right.
We have a couple months, but I'd have to look at what our agreement was too. What did we say, that it would be a year from then?
Well, it wasn't about a 360.
Yeah.
He has a year evaluation in his agreement, but I think just as a health check of the city and everything, I think that a 360 might be I think we should have a conversation anyway, maybe at the next meeting.
A work session, yeah, a work session.
But yeah, talk to Ben about it individually. And, for me individually and see on the schedule.
Do we have a
Since-
work?
Since it's not due until September 1st, I'd just push it to July.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, no urgency. I think just if it's something that we wanted to revisit, because I think we left it open-ended.
Well, we do have a council work session second and an urban renewal meeting June 16th.
Right, and then the conversation we had during my review was that the next official review would be a year from that review, so that was in March. Not necessarily that my year, but that we could do a 6-month or 3 months if we just wanted to do, like Councilor Miller had mentioned or President Miller had mentioned about doing just a health check was kind of the discussion we had as opposed to a full-on review type thing.
So we can discuss that, like what, it will be a year coming up, what do we think we?
yeah, do that in July.
Hey, Councilor Gunn?
Yep, I'm done. Thank you.
Councilor Santiago?
Okay, I wasn't here for the last council meeting, and sorry for that, and the budget as well. But prior to that, we attended the LOC conference down in North Bend, and I brought stickers and swag for all of you guys. And if you wanted it, so I brought here, you can share, this is for you. And then just, I always come with gifts, so. So that was the event. Oh, by the way, the next LOC event is going to be the 100th, and it's going to be in Portland. So hopefully we can all attend. It's in October.
October 2-4.
Yes, October 2nd to the 4th.
In July, let's see.
Correct. So that's coming up. For EDC, the group met, and I chimed in remotely, which is very difficult to hear. There was an echo, but from what I picked up, the EDC was working on their vision for Scappoose and the business space. They talked about basically, how businesses and how basically working on their business strategy. And if I miss anything, Ben, because you were here, let me know. But I wasn't able to hear very well. Let's see. They also talked about space being rezoned. So they're finalizing their strategic plan, and then they will present that to council soon. Okay, so that's that. In conversations with also the LOC, everybody was talking about doing their budgets early this month. And the LOC also worked on their, they finally heard from their economic forecast budget. And and I don't want to read all of this, but I asked, basically I'm looking at it at the budget and how is it going to affect Scappoose. So for Scappoose, the economic forecast will impact Scappoose's manufacturing vulnerability. Oregon manufacturing sectors, which makes up 9.3 in the state of employment, is particularly sensitive to trade tensions. So if Scappoose has a manufacturing business, especially those involved in exports, they will face challenges. Also, slower growth. We've been hearing that across the board. Forecast predicts growth recession rather than outright recession. The weaker job growth and rising unemployment projected to reach 5.2 by 2027. This can affect employment opportunities in Scappoose. Resource constraints, the state revenue growth projected is slow. There is less funding available for local infrastructure projects, education, and other services that benefits the communities like ours. And of course, housing impacts. The report also mentions federal fiscal policy changes that could keep interest higher, which could continue to affect the housing market, residential construction, potentially impacting
obviously the housing development here, which we're working with our 50-year plan and so forth, and we're working with our budget. So in closing, what I wanted to emphasize is that what I'm saying is it's not blue, red, or it's very bipartisan. So regarding the political affiliations, I wanted to share my concern for the well-beings of this community. So the economic forecast present challenges that affect all Scappoose residents, businesses, and families So according to the state's economic forecast, both increasing trade tariffs and cut to federal programs will directly slow growth Oregon's communities like ours. To prepare for these challenges in Scappoose, we must do 3 concrete actions. 1, build up our city's rainy day funds, which goes back to your point of how we're going to increase our revenue and not go into our reserves. Support wider variety of local businesses rather than depending on single industry, and focus on limited resources investments that help withstand economic pressures. So we should be obviously they're going to be tighter resources. We should be looking for opportunities to collaborate with state and local partners and to maximize our funding remaining available. So community partnerships is important more than ever. So that's what I got out of the economic forecast made by the LOC. Any questions?
Fortunately, we were on our old microphone system, and there was a bunch of interference in the back during the EDC meeting the other day. So I think that
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
trouble hearing.
I had trouble hearing, and then the meeting, yeah, so that's okay.
Ben and I were sitting there making.
So, that's it. That's all for today.
Council President.
Okay, so we do have back to the Summer Outdoor Fun Festival topic Saturday, June 31st. I'm sorry, May 31st. I'm jumping ahead there. I'm assuming that council wants to staff our tent. Start there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So if we do 3-hour time periods, we don't have to figure all this out right now, but I'm just going to give you some things to chew on, and I can send out an email to follow up with this. But if we do 3-hour time slots, we can do there's 4 and they're 3-hour time slots. Sorry. So 3 hours in duration. We're still short an hour because it goes from 10 a.m. to 8.
You don't need one there.
Oh, yeah, good point. Sorry.
Is the tent up till 8? Are people gonna be breaking down at 8?
I was thinking when you said 3 hours, like a 10 to 1, you guys come a little, whoever comes a little early to set up, but 1 to 4 and the 4 to 7 starts to take it down at 7.
Okay.
It's gonna probably just.
Okay. So then we have 3 time slots.
2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, so unless we do 1 counselor during some of these time slots, we're not going to have anybody there. But my question was going to be, well, Ben, this is where I get to kind of trying to, you don't have to give me an answer right now, but if you can give me an answer soon so that I can try to figure out the scheduling, that would be great. Do we have any staff that's going to be at that other than the PD staff, or is there anybody that wants to be there? Can we pay overtime? I'm just trying to figure out.
I know
the
AJ helped last year and you read, I don't know what his goal plan was this year.
Yeah, I can follow up with that. I'm not.
Okay.
I know Public Works has been involved with the things because they have to deal with. Yeah, so I'd have to double check, but actually, as far as the tent goes, NJ could be a possibility, but I'll follow up.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to try to figure out staffing for that.
Are you thinking at least 2 per 3-hour session?
Well, I think 2 would be
Begin
nice so
yeah.
that if somebody has to walk away or for whatever reason, we have somebody there.
Well,
But-
if we sit up next to the police, then we can probably cross pollinate.
Is everybody in town that week?
Kim's out.
Okay. Well, that still leaves 6 if everyone, and then Ben could do. Else is gone. I could do 2 of them and go umpire in between.
Okay. I will, since I know everybody needs to look at their schedule and think about it a little bit more, I'll just send out an email with those time slots and kind of check with everybody. And Susan, did we get everything that we need? Okay.
Then is that okay for if he sent down a schedule to sign up?
Yeah,
That
yeah, it's not something that's really brought to council
making any
meetings
votes
or, yeah,
discussing any policies?
just coordinating a schedule.
Okay.
We can put it in the packet too. So we have everything we need. I just want to make sure logistics.
And the squishy things, remember, those cones, those were very popular. I don't know if you ran out.
She got more.
You got more?
Yep. I even got little plastic clear things to put stuff in back there
Nice.
too, so we could keep them situated nicely
Good.
on the table. The edible chapstick. The edible chapstick.
Edible chapstick.
No, I just laughed when I saw the flavors and I was thinking to myself, I used to eat chapstick when I was a little kid. I would assume others are. Now y'all know what's wrong with me, but anyway. Okay, thank you. So are you gonna be out there again for your other obligation or? Okay, yeah. All right, I'm just trying to think about getting this stuff out there and everything. Okay. You do a lot. That's not necessary. We'll figure it out, but thank you.
I can help too as well. I'll be, so.
Okay,
76 and part mostly sunny.
thank you.
Thank you. We did get this real quick, just serve. You guys all have a piece of paper. If anybody's interested, please read it. And I don't know what it's all about, but you can go online and there's a t-shirt and a bracelet. But if you guys are interested in learning more about it or doing anything, please let me know. Again, my heart simply goes out with all the families involved in this incident the other night. Scappoose, we're all one big family, and so when something like that, it kind of hurts all of us because it's a family member, school district, city of Scappoose, it's all tough. So prayers go out to those families. And nothing else tonight, so meeting adjourned.
We have an idea.
Anybody want the squishy ball?